I'm Kate Tickner of Pyramid Analytics, and it's my very great pleasure today to be talking to Alexandra Stromberg of PwC in Finland. Thanks for joining me, Alexandra.
Hi, Kate. Great. Thanks a lot for inviting me there, and greetings from sunny Helsinki.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad you've got the sun. It's a bit grey here in England, but for those people that don't know, although I find it unlikely, but let me just explain. PwC is an international professional services brand of firms operating as partnerships under the PwC brand. And you're one of the largest professional services networks in the world. So fantastic that you joined us today. We'll go straight in, Alexandra. I'd love for you to please share a little bit about your background and your role at PwC and what made you apply there.
Yes, thank you, Kate. Very good question indeed. So I have background in law, international business law from the University of Helsinki. And in addition to that, I have also completed degree in business and economics in Aalto University. And during my studies, I was writing a thesis regarding risk management of multinational enterprises, and I published the thesis. And actually, somehow, as Jari Karkkanen, our team lead, has told me, he found my thesis very interesting, which is already very interesting because usually thesis about taxation is quite a boring thing, but not in this case. So
Not
that's how,
yes.
That's how around actually 4 years ago, I got the invitation to the interview, obviously from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great place to market yourself. And I joined 3.5 years ago as a tax and legal technology consultant. And on top of that, there was a very interesting target setting involved as well. So essentially, I Googled a bit that there is something called tax technology. And I just put on LinkedIn like, hey, I would like to work in tax technology. And that's where I'm now at the moment. So very efficient target setting as well.
Very good. Very well done there. Yes. And what can you tell us a little bit more about what you do in your role?
Even more interesting, complex question, I would say. It's a lot of stuff. And it's a lot about digital transformation. Or maybe we can even call it digital revolution, because amount of tax reporting regulations are growing very, very fast across the world. So we have VAT in the digital age from the European Commission. We have Pillar 2 regulation. We have real-time reporting and invoicing obligations that just massively growing across the world. And our mission is to make sure that our clients, tax teams, stay happy and compliant, and they can anticipate the digital disruption or revolution well before it becomes a very big and stressful thing. So we see it as an opportunity to make tax and also legal experts happy and see a technology more as an opportunity, not threat.
So trying to help them be more proactive instead of reactive and kind of get ahead of things.
Exactly. It's a lot about anticipating change and doing it through many different ways.
Okay.
So we help plan digital strategy. We help them to map current processes and identify ways to improve them, as well as we also work with digital analytics and, of course, data-driven decision-making.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about the type of client projects you most like to work with and why? And particularly, I think the audience would be interested in the business problems that you're trying to solve.
Yes, it's a lot about process investigation that makes me very passionate about the job I'm doing. Essentially, when you try to learn the processes that our client facing, we do this type of detective work that you can see in the detective series maybe. So you need to ask questions, and the questions you ask need to be very straight and up to the point questions. And you need to react and think very fast as well. And you need to do it in very different types of settings. It might be a call from your sofa because your client is based abroad. You might be visiting your client premises, or even maybe see some industrial factory settings. So it's very, very different. And luckily, my job has involved some traveling in post-COVID world. So it was a great opportunity to see how technology is still very close to humans. So we think about that as human-led technology development.
That's brilliant. I know I always enjoy going to see the client workplaces as well. It's much more interesting, isn't it, than just on the screen. So you mentioned the University of Aalto. You recently returned there to do a lecture on tax technology. Tell us a little bit more about that, and how do you see technology playing a role in better and more proactive tax management?
Yes, very fresh experience indeed. So yesterday, together with our team lead, Jari Karkanen, we held a lecture on digital transformation of tax processes for Aalto University students. And this was indeed very interesting experience because, first of all, first time for me as a lecturer. Second of all, a first experience genuinely for bringing technology and taxes together in the lecture. And very interesting to see how you need to walk this fine line of giving students some knowledge about very complex tax problems. When we talk about value-added tax, it's very complex on its own. Multiple chain transactions, complexities across the borders. And then on top of that, you add, well, now we have data analytics, we need to build a dashboard, you need to apply artificial intelligence to find out the ways how to solve these problems. So overwhelming, but at the same time very interesting. And the most interesting thing about the lecture has been the students' questions. And they were quite tricky because we also looked into the future skills of a tax professional. And indeed, such future skills is a lot about asking questions, asking right questions, and always being curious about what you're doing.
I love that you used this idea of being a detective and always being curious and asking questions. I know that you've been very interested in the potential for decision intelligence in your work, but you've just talked about talking to people, asking questions on the business side. Decision intelligence is a technology, but so how do you see decision intelligence fitting in with what you do today or in the future? And how will it help deliver better outcomes for your clients?
Yeah, very good question. And it's a lot about trying to find a single source of truth. Well, let's say truth is a very philosophical concept, but if we have at least a bit more accurate data that comes to you as a decision maker in the company in the right time, from right sources, and in the right package way, it makes it easier to make decisions that contribute to the whole vision of the company, to the company's corporate goals, and helps also to stay ahead with all the regulatory requirements. For example, requirements related to ESG, tax transparency reporting, and real-time reporting when you have very, very strict deadlines that you need to comply with. And you cannot rely on the manual controls anymore.
Yeah, so you're talking about the ability to predict what will happen next, the ability potentially to help business people use technology in a more intuitive way without having to code. Do you see any other specific advantages?
I think it's also about bringing this decision-making process to the grassroots level.
Yep.
So, for example, if you're just a business controller or you just start your career path at a company, you're already impacting the whole company's controls and compliance framework in multiple ways. So if you make right decisions based on the accurate data from the start, then you can know that also higher level stakeholders make right decisions on the other side. So it's a lot about citizen-led development and about making sure that all company employees can contribute to the whole strategic development of the company.
Brilliant. And when we've talked about this in the past, you've talked about applying decision intelligence to things like VAT, and potentially it could help because not all the data is in one place. This ability to get what are the sorts of different sources of data that you have to analyze when you're looking at a VAT problem, for example?
So multiple of them.
Yeah.
We can even have cases when someone writes calculations on paper and scans them. We will leave that out of example, but it's a lot about the data that comes from enterprise resource planning systems such as SAP or Oracle or Microsoft Dynamics. Then we have some Excel calculations on top of that. We can have data that comes from indirect tax determination software, multiple sources. And when we talk about very big multinational enterprises, there are many legacy systems as well. So our goal as tax technologists is to unify these data sources and try to find the truth that is scattered around all different types of data.
Right. So the ability to look at those without having to move them all into one place is helpful in terms of for getting a single view or a single analysis, but only having to connect to those sources directly, potentially. Okay, great. And making it easy for the business users. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to say that you're the first woman that I've interviewed in my series. And I think it's still fair to say that there are fewer women in technology type companies than men. I don't think that that's a lie. I know you have a variety of interest in women's issues and diversity. So can you talk a little bit about the causes that you support most passionately and why?
Yeah, it's a lot about finding your own path that you would like to take and not following up certain stereotypes. There are multiple career paths that you can take in technology, but you can also always proactively shape or craft your own path in a way that can make your strong sides shine and make it also more inclusive. And as I have told earlier, it's all about personal branding and making sure that you don't stay shy and you find marketing as a way not only to find a job, get a promotion, but also as a very interesting and creative process that you can follow.
I agree. I loved what you said earlier about putting, being approached on LinkedIn, putting tax technology on your profile, and really making it easy for people to see how you would fit into, what they want. And it, as you said, it is all about personal branding. And do you see improvements in terms of diversity happening? Are you confident that the world is becoming a more diverse place in terms of work in particular?
Oh, such a tricky question, Kate, I would say. Our team is definitely diverse, and our team leadership has put lots of focus on hiring people that have very diverse, very interesting backgrounds. We speak multiple languages and we don't have set rules. Use this language, focus on that things. focus on these things. And of course, that can act as a great example for other employers, other companies to follow as well.
I agree. Okay, we're nearly at the end now, but it would be great to understand a little bit about what the Alexandra does that doesn't work. What do you do when you're not working? I know about your lovely cat. I've seen pictures. So talk to us a little bit about what you do at home and in your interests.
Yes, the cat is indeed very lovely, but in addition to that, it still gives me some free time to go running, because running is freedom in a way, and you can also explore your own paths when you run. I also do watercolor painting, and I have recently designed my own t-shirt in collaboration with my friend. Very interesting experience as well. So ready for summer fashion season, I guess.
Oh, excellent. You're going to print it in many colors, I hope.
In many colors, and the first unit or item has been printed already. So all set.
That's very exciting. So you've very much got a creative side as well as a technical side. Brilliant.
Indeed.
Well, look, it's been lovely talking to you today. I always enjoy talking to you. Thank you so much for participating and for making it such a pleasure. And I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Thanks, Alexandra.
Thank you, Kate, for inviting me. All the best.
No problem. Take care then. Bye-bye.
Bye.